We'll go on a break now. When we come back, we'll share with you the next set of conversations. But let's share with you first what's still to come. The newspaper front pages where we open the phone lines and have you call in to share your thoughts. And we bring you Which Way in Nigeria, another thought-provoking monologue comes your way this morning. And young innovators revolutionize campus scheduling with app. Stay tuned.
It's time for breakfast headlines on Breakfast Central. I am Benga Aborowa. The Bishop of the Sokoto Catholic Diocese, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take urgent action to end the suffering and insecurity facing Nigerians. Delivering his Easter message, Bishop Kuka decried the culture of brutality and violence across the country, warning that Nigeria risks falling outside the bound of human civilization. He described the country as turning into a national morgue where citizens are abducted or killed daily by terrorists and criminal groups. The bishop appealed to President Tinubu to show leadership and decisiveness in restoring peace, saying Nigerians are hanging on the cross and at the mercy of forces of darkness. This message comes amidst growing concern over rising insecurity and hardship nationwide. Similarly, the former presidential aspirant of the All Progressive Congress, Tunde Bakare, has decried the relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, asking the Nigerian leader to stop playing God. Bakare, the serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, issued the warning in a State of the Nation address delivered in the Lagos auditorium of his church on Sunday. He raised the alarm over the state of affairs in the country, saying Nigeria is steering in the wrong direction.
Fellow citizens, at the center of this political banditry is the motor park brand of politics, nurtured by the old brigade politicians, and in recent times by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Mr. President, it is through your influence that the Nigerian National Assembly has become a haven for legislative rascality. Mr. President, it's under your watch that the National Assembly has become an extension of the executive, grossly violating the principles of separation of powers and rubber stamping the whims and caprices of your office, all while singing the international anthem of Sycophants on your mandate, which shall stand. Mr. President, thanks to your political machinations, Nigeria is now bedeviled by a captured National Assembly, the most ineffective.
In response to the recent surge in terrorist activities in Gwaza local government area of Borno State, Senator representing Southern Borno Ali Ndume has emphasized the need for residents to protect themselves by supporting the armed forces. Senator Ndume was speaking at the Emir of Gwaza's palace shortly after visiting one of the recently attacked communities in Yamtake. News Central's Umaru Kirawa reports that the military and other security forces have since been reinforced to ensure safety of lives and properties in the hinterland. Still on security matters, residents of Barberton local government area in Kwara State have confirmed the presence of armed bandits operating in the northern parts of the council. They say they came under attack over the weekend by bandits believed to have been pushed out of the northeast and northwest regions. Some residents were reportedly killed in the assault, while the community's vigilante vehicle and several motorcycles were set ablaze. Although the Kwara State Police Command has repeatedly denied the presence of bandits in the area, locals in Barberton are presenting photo and video evidence to support their claims. Barberton is approximately a 6-hour drive from Ilorin, the state capital. Meanwhile, former Minister of Defense, retired Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, has urged Nigerians to defend themselves from the menace of insecurity. General Danjuma made the call over the weekend during a public event in Takum local government area of Taraba State. He said his opinion is predicated on the fact that government alone cannot win the fight against insecurity in the country. He recalled that he gave the advice years ago, adding that his position is as valid today as it was when he first called attention to the need for Nigerians to learn to defend themselves. The death toll from the collapse of the 3-story building on Oremeta Street in Ojuduberga area of Lagos State has risen to 5. The National Emergency Management Authority, NEMA, confirmed this in a statement on Sunday, adding that 15 people have been rescued. The building housing a local restaurant collapsed at about 8 a.m. on Saturday, leaving an unspecified number of people trapped beneath the rubble. It was learned that the building had been under construction. Now, away from Nigeria, women in Guinea-Bissau attacked a Chinese-run zircon mining site in the northwest, setting fire to equipment. The women said they were driven to act after the authorities ignored their complaints about the environmental damage the mining activities were causing to their farms. Witnesses reported that several hundred women took part in the protest in Nkinin, near the resort town of Valera, close to the Senegalese border. The Chinese companies had been operating at the site since 2022.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Breaking news reaching us, unfortunately, is that Pope Francis has passed on. The report was given by the Vatican News and says in the post, they say at 9:35 on Easter Monday morning, Cardinal Kevin Farrell, Camelengo of the Apostolic Chamber, spoke these words at Casa Santa Marta. He says, "Dearest brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow I must announce the passing of our father." He said, I must announce the passing of our father, Holy Father Francis, at 7:35 this morning. His entire life was dedicated to the service of the Lord and of his church. He taught us to live the values of the gospel with fidelity, courage, and universal love, especially in favor of the poorest and most marginalized. With immense gratitude for his example as a true disciple of the Lord Jesus, commend the soul of Pope Francis to the infinite merciful love of the one and triune God. That's the update that we have regarding this story. Unfortunate updates there. His life has spanned from 1935 to 2025, and there's just a number of people have started to pour out their reactions and share their thoughts regarding his passing on social media. Not what we expected, not what we saw coming, and even further information on the website of the Vatican News. They talked about the father being admitted to Agostino Gemelli Polyclinic Hospital on Friday, 14th of February 2025, after suffering from a bout of bronchitis for several days. They say that Pope Francis' clinical situation gradually worsened, and his doctors diagnosed bilateral pneumonia on Tuesday, February 18th. After 38 days in the hospital, the late Pope returned to his Vatican residence at the Casa Santa Marta to continue his recovery. In 1957, in his early 20s, Jorge Mario Bergoglio underwent surgery in his native Argentina to remove a portion of his lung that had been affected by a severe respiratory infection. As he aged, Pope Francis frequently suffered bouts of respiratory illnesses, even cancelling a planned visit to the United Arab Emirates in November 2023 due to influenza and lung inflammation. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the Catholic Church in this moment, and our hearts go out to them, as many who are currently going to be dealing with the loss of Pope Francis. He was a very popular figure, not just in the Catholic Church, but even in the political space, as he did not turn a blind eye to political matters, and he spoke strongly about his thoughts, even on matters some might have considered controversial, matters people might have been afraid to speak about. Pope Francis was never afraid of sharing his thoughts on these subject matters. Having uncomfortable conversations, was his forte.
Yeah, he'll be remembered as one of the great popes. I mean, he took his papal name, Francis, after the Saint Francis of Assisi, who was known for really helping the poor. I remember his comments and also on peacekeeping. It was very instrumental to peace in South Sudan between President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar. He will be remembered as one of the very great popes. So this is coming to me as a surprise because he made a very rare Easter appearance just yesterday after his long stay in hospital, appearing to perform Easter Mass, just to hear that less than 24 hours later he's joined the saints. We wish him of
course, our thoughts and our prayers are with the members of the Catholic Church who in this moment will be, leading to process this information. But as we get more information, we'll be bringing it your way. Just to mention that this, of course, is information from the Vatican, Vatican news that we have shared with you about Pope Francis having gone to be with the Lord. And that's all that we have this morning on the breaking news. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's time to look at the front pages of the papers. We're joined this morning by journalist Habib Aruna. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
You don't bring Easter meat for us,
He's risen.
He's risen.
He's risen.
Yes. So you should have brought something to celebrate his rising.
What do they eat during Easter? I always see egg. Ghanaians will celebrate Easter a lot.
And symbolically, as we are celebrating the death,
the resurrection of Jesus and then the Pope.
Died.
I think it's actually very symbolic that in the moment where we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus, the Pope then transitions to glory.
It's a message to mankind. Yes,
very symbolic
it's a very
indeed.
deep message.
What message does that pass to Nigerian politicians?
Is that sacrifice. And I was telling one guy just 2 minutes ago that the Pope would have wished to die on this day. So it's possible that God answers his prayer.
Very,
and I like that he was very brave and vocal about it. Because suffering in one place is suffering. He always spoke about the Palestinian cause.
Yes.
And looking at the birthplace of Jesus,
justice.
That it's quite unfortunate what is happening.
And against the politics of that madman in White House,
wow.
Donald Trump.
I'm not still around. I'm not there. Well, let's get to the papers this morning. On the front page of our first paper this morning is the Leadership newspaper, and on the front page of the Leadership, Northern leaders divided over 2027 politics. Quite interesting because we had Badibo Roots Viva this morning to join us to talk about the road to 2027. North will define direction in 6 months, NEF says. We are non-partisan, ACF says. Killings plots to frustrate Tinubu's re-election. Hey, who is saying this one?
Everything is politics.
Really everything has been politicized. It's such a shame that lives of Nigerians are being lost and we are politicizing the lives of Nigerians. Police operatives rescue 12 kidnapped victims. Gunmen abduct 7 travelers in Kwara. Ukraine war, Russia denies breaking Easter ceasefire deal. Defections hit APC, PDP in Gombe. Darua Emir, Turbans, Hamza Suleiman, Sadalkin, Kasar Hausa. We differ with Bakari but respect his views, Presidency says. And finally, SEC wants influencers, bloggers against promoting Ponzi scheme. 2 stories here. The road to 2027 are your thoughts regarding these headlines, as well as Bakari. I don't know if you saw Pastor Tunde Bakari and your thoughts about it. Presidency say we differ with him but we respect his views. I think that's very mature.
Absolutely. I talk about Bakari first or the Northern.
You can talk about anyone. Choose whichever you prefer.
Let's talk about that first. Okay. You should be respecting this from the Northern elite, Northern establishment. Both of us are not comfortable with the direction of Nigeria. They are not comfortable with Tinubu, who they know is a very smart politician. They shine a lot, But I will be comfortable if the Northern leaders are focused on governance, are focused on the economy, and focused on insecurity. that is ravaging their part of the country. You know, they're talking about 2027, that they will not allow Tinubu to continue. No, that is around nonsense. Look at Baba Ahmed, that led this government just a few years ago. He's saying that the North will take a stand. The North should be talking about free and fair elections. They should be talking about coalition. They're talking about how to provide effective opposition to Tinubu than just giving out threats. Cannot work. You know, these guys rule, they rule for 8 years. It's the turn of the South now, they're not making noise, they're not comfortable. And for God's sake, who are their lead? The common man in the street in the North are suffering. They don't understand what these people are saying. They're just working to promote and protect their interest, the Northern elite. So that one cannot work. You know, we have heard this, we have passed through this road before. Let them come out with somebody that can challenge Tinubu based on what he has done so far and give an alternative to what he or she can do to move this country forward. I'm not saying any. They're not giving out threat, and it cannot work. The present occupant of Aso Rock is smarter than that. And Nigerians, I'm sure, are wiser. You know, to Bakare, it should be expected. You know, what I've been saying on this program for long is what the man armor on yesterday, the National Assembly. You know, all of us should be afraid. All of them should be concerned that we have a very docile, very insensitive, and very incapable National Assembly led by Akpabio.
Pastor Bakari said that the On Your Mandate song that was led in chorus
is a global
by Akpabio, he called it an international anthem of Sycophant.
Absolutely.
Don't you think that's a bit too harsh for the caliber of men and women we have in the land? These are distinguished senators we're talking about.
I agree with him totally. And I've been saying it consistently. You know, you can be supportive and at the same time independent. You can be independent and interdependent. You know, if you are independent, you are working to make sure that there is rule of law, that there is good governance, that you are checkmating the excesses of the executive. That is your role as the head of legislature in Nigeria. Akpabio is a sycophant of the highest order. I'm not missing words. What we have done so far.
So he took it too far. There's a way you can show loyalty.
Man is an extension of Aso Rock. He doesn't give a damn. People are shouting, people are talking, people are concerned about what he's doing. The man does not even give a hook. You know, so I think when people like Bakare, who have seen it all, who is up there, is talking, people will listen. You can't be singing on your legislature. On your Monday we shall stand. I'm a Tinubu supporter, but I can't sing on your Monday we shall stand. Because of my way of life and my basic principles. You know, and for the head of legislature in Nigeria to have descended so low and be singing that Monday, that kind of song
in the chambers,
we have problem.
A lot of problem though. Anyway, let's see if we can quickly just move a little bit before we go back to Pastor Bakare's statement. We do have our correspondent who's standing to join us. There seems to be a good news where Nigerian women aged between 21 and 24 are making waves in the tech industry. They've been able to create a particular tech or application. It's called Tita. It arranges your digital timetable platform, so on and so forth. But let's join Sumaya Abubakar, who joins us now. Good morning, Sumaya. Can you hear us? All right, let's move straight to our next paper. I'd like us to look at the Vanguard very quickly. The Vanguard has a more detailed information. Insecurity, Danjuma, Atiku, Kuka, Bakare, others rage. You said you've watched the video of Bakare, so we don't need to waste time here. Let's just go straight into it. What were your thoughts when he first of all said the president is running a motor park, is running a motor park politics? He also went ahead to mention, of course, like Benga and Olive also highlighted the Sycophancy in terms of singing that song, which we just touched on before we went to our correspondent. There's also the mention of not paying attention to insecurity, which was said by Atiku and, of course, Kuka as well. What's your take on all of this?
And then General Danjuma, sorry to butt in, also said people should resort to defending themselves.
You see, all of us should be concerned about the state of insecurity in Nigeria. And when people like Danjuma, a former defense minister, former army chief of staff, a top businessman in the country, and a man that's senator that is always close to the corridor of power, and the man is expressing reservation openly. You should be concerned. You should take note. Don't forget that Danjuma is from Taraba State, a northern Christian, a very influential man. And he has said more than once that if you sit down there and you are watching, not doing anything, they will kill all of you. And that the military is not biased. It's very, very biased what is going on in the north. He has said it more than once. So what he only had a few days ago is that people should arm themselves and defend themselves. He was saying implicitly that the government has failed to protect the people. Kuka took it from there. Kuka too is a northern Christian, a very articulate and vocal man of God who has put various governments on their toes. And he came out with an instant message that the government is not doing enough to protect the people, that the economy is bad, that is misgovernance. And he told the president to be bold and take decisions. But the man has been wanting, not be pragmatic enough. So all these guys came out with their different opinions. And Article 2, a politician, added his own. This party, the PDP. So I think the presidency is noting this, and they also reacted, even though not as usual, not as ambitious as usual. That what they are saying is noted, and the president is doing something about it.
Do you think the response was like that because of the personalities involved?
No, not necessarily.
Because we've seen them.
They
lead the message
when Obasanjo
and attack the personalities.
They attack Obasanjo. Attack is his message. So I think the presidency realized that what these people are saying is not out of sync. It's in reality that we both feel. So they were very measured, in the way they reacted. So they will not be seen to be saying things that are not really what people want to hear.
Right. Okay, still on the front page of that Punch newspaper, there's a story there that talks about the death toll. I don't know if you saw about the building collapse. It says death toll in Lagos building collapse rises to 5, 15 rescued. Now, if you look into the details of the story, the collapse happened on the 19th of April, Saturday morning, when a partly occupied old 3-story building suddenly collapsed, leaving 2 dead and 12 survivors rescued. Now, this is coming barely 5 days after a story building under construction collapsed at Agarawu Street off Aroloya Central Mosque, Idumota, Lagos Island. 2 males were rescued from that incident. So, according to the story here, the report from this one is that the ground floor was used by an eatery. The other 3 floors were unoccupied. And part of the reason they're giving for the collapse is the fact that it was unoccupied. They're saying that unoccupied buildings are prone to collapse because over time it weakens, they fail the integrity test. But my worry in this story is this is not the first time we're hearing of building collapse. Other countries, their buildings are collapsing because of earthquakes or natural causes. Our buildings are just there. Before you know, building tumbles to the ground. A building they are erecting collapses. Remember the 21-story building collapse in Ikoyi? Exactly. Ikoyi. So we've had different.
Before Ikoyi, that was lucky.
There's even another one that happened at Ebute Meta.
Yeah.
Before you know, we hear the developers have fled.
Yeah.
So how do we nip this situation? Because it is a problem that I really don't know where to lay the bulk of the blame at. Is it the developers? Is it the government, the building control agency that is giving the approval? Is it the fact that they're not being able to monitor? Because some of the reasons we hear is that they gave approval for 1 story. The people went and built 3-story buildings.
Or is it managing materials because of the economic realities?
We have said it all. Are you asking a question or passing a comment?
Engineer lawyer.
Because you have said it all.
Because I'm like, so I think
You have said it all because I was in government.
Yes.
As a spokesperson of the governor of the state. And I can tell you emphatically that the various government in the state are doing their best to make sure that students do not fall down. You know, they're doing their best. But then, there's always the Judas in terms of disciples. You know, most of these guys are not only corrupt, they are wicked. You know, that's why I say you have said it all. Developers will approach these guys in the ministry or in the agency and they will connive. They collude. You know, risking the lives of innocent people. You know, so what I see, when I'm jogging, walking around in Magodo, I do it all the time. I will tell my friend, look at this building now. They will put notice there. Please stop. But they will still continue. And the building will not be destroyed. So what is the control agency? What are they doing? That is why I said we have said it all. The government cannot be everywhere. The commissioner of fiscal planning, when I met him, when they came in last year, or barely 20 months ago, I advised him, do the right thing. Don't spare anybody. Don't spare anybody. But we are still seeing it. What are we waiting for? There are people assigned to different zones in the state. Who is in charge of that zone, of that place in Ojodu? Has he been arrested? Has he been queried? So those are things we are facing. And in Lagos.
Yeah, it was a popular area, and then you had this skeletal structure.
Yeah.
Two floors. That means they plan to build on it, and it's terrible. And I think that the number is conservative, and it could have been worse.
Absolutely.
Maybe because of the time of the day, the building collapsed.
Yeah.
Just 5. Imagine if they were operating at full capacity.
I mean, they say that Lasema responded, so that's part of the report we're getting, that Lasema responded promptly, so I think we should give kudos to them, you know, for that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move away from that to our next paper. And just to mention to our virtual audience, if you're watching and you'd like to share your thoughts on any of the stories, please feel free to call and lend your thoughts to any of the stories that we've discussed and that we're discussing this morning. The numbers to call are on your TV screen. Let's now go to the Punch newspaper, and I find it very interesting to see that just on the front page of the Punch newspaper, you can see the picture of Pope Francis during the Easter Mass, and he was blessing the world as part of the Holy Week celebration of at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican on Sunday. And this, of course, was done before his official passing. Once again, just to say that our hearts go out to, you know...
Just shows you the kind of person the man was.
Even in his dying moments, he was...
Even in dying moments, he came out. We were able to see him. You know, and just yesterday, too, he met the U.S. Vice President and his family. It not shows you the kind of person, kind of greatness that the man imbibed, that he exhibited by person.
Right. So, yes, we definitely are sending our best thoughts, prayers, and wishes to Christians, and not just Christians, people around the world who will be mourning his passing, because, yes, he was a Catholic Pope, but he wasn't just he was a human being first before a Catholic Pope, and could relate to all and sundry. But let's look at the front page of the Punch. The big story, interest boom, 9 local banks generate 14 trillion naira from loans. Emergency, PDP governors get Supreme Court hearing date this week. Presidency pushes back as Bakare Kuka criticized Tinubu's policies. Killings, Shetima visits Plateau today as Danjuma calls for self-defense. Power crisis, federal government turns to banks for $23 billion lifeline. Indebted retirees risk losing homes, says federal government. That's a story I'm hoping we can look at. Judgment analysis, report me to LPDC Farano Des Wiki. State police off agenda as NEC meets on Thursday. I don't have the exact details, but indebted retirees risk losing homes, says federal government. I'm going to look online to see if we can get more details on that story. But let's also quickly look at the front page of the Daily Independent. And on the front page of the Daily Independent, debt servicing costs may crowd out capex development rate spending as Nigeria's domestic stock debt rises to 70.4 trillion. And SEC warns social media influencers and bloggers against promoting unregistered investment. Serap drags federal government to court over ban on Idris song, Tell Your Papa. I want you to speak on that.
The only thing is that you can be sure that Senate will go to court.
I mean, it's their bread and butter.
To challenge anything that is that they find to be an injustice. So I like that. I like that body. You know, young lawyers.
Their office should be
young lawyers, brilliant guys. You know, consistent activists. You know, and I like the way they go to court to test these things. You know, but I'm not too happy that most of the litigations are not coming out well. They're not coming out well. But it's good to test the system.
But is it right? The court, let's look at the message. You're dragging the court. Court is saying NBC barred Idris Abdulkarim's song, Tell Your Papa, because of the lyrics where he directed the song to President Sonshei Tinubu, saying, you should tell the father that he's not done a good job. You're basically letting him know that your father is not the best president in the world. And now NBC has said that that song is not to be broadcast. Do you think that NBC was well within their rights to have done that?
I don't know the law. I don't know the law. I'm not a lawyer. But as a Nigerian, as a citizen, and a journalist, I think it was a bad judgment. You know, the bad judgment. You don't squeeze the system. You don't want to appease your principal.
Yeah.
By doing things that are undemocratic, things that are unconstitutional, things that does not is a variance with the rule of law. You know. So I think by so doing too, they make the song very popular. That today it is becoming more relevant. Something that was already behind the curtains, you know. So I think it was good for Idris. Indirectly, it was good for Idris, you know. But to our democracy, to the atmosphere of free speech, is bad judgment.
I mean, this is not the first time. I'm sure Idris is used to being banned. 2012. Jaga Jaga was banned,
yes.
but then
he did Jaga Jaga Reloaded on that Tinubu, but it didn't catch fire because
under
Buhari, because Buhari's son didn't.
And I'm very sure that if not for the government intervention, NBC intervention, unnecessary, wantonly intervention, this song will be so popular.
Habib Aruna, thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
Absolutely.